things that make the Abramson Cancer Center incredibly special are the fact that we have an amazing team with a toolbox that can't really be found anywhere else in the region, the country, or maybe the world. We have tools such as immunotherapy, precision surgery, genetic testing, and personalized medicine.
Certain forms of immunotherapy can only be done at the Abramson Cancer Center.
Scientists innovate new drugs for metastatic thyroid cancer. We are the place that invented TORS, robotic surgery for head and neck cancer. So you can go on the latest clinical trials that are not available anywhere around the world. We have launched also an initiative where we want to come up with the earliest detection possible for cancer by doing blood tests that can detect cancer cells floating around to your blood or DNA that's shed from the cancer cells. And so we collaborate with individuals in the School of Engineering when they can make very small devices that you can put a drop of blood in there and it traps the cancer cells and detect them. Innovations in one place can permeate through the other places. So one example is one of the vaccines that's developed in the School of Veterinary Medicine for dogs with sarcoma is now being tested in children in a clinical trial for children with sarcoma.
I think the unique thing about the Abramson Cancer Center is the way that the people like me, the basic researchers, can have almost daily direct contact with people that provide clinical care. This allows us in an unprecedented way to take these ideas we're collecting in the laboratory and having real impact on patients in a much more rapid fashion.
I remember this case very vividly, where this young college woman came in with lung cancer. And the operation, we opened up her chest, it went very smoothly. We were able to remove the cancer, and afterwards we went down and talked to the family and told the family everything was going to be fine. Well, unfortunately, things were not fine, and 3 months later she came back, and her entire lungs were riddled with cancer. And that case really bothered me. And I was thinking about this and about the fact that the cancer must have been there 3 months earlier, and we just hadn't seen the little cancer cells. So that night I went home, and my daughter was sleeping. She was 1 year old, and I had laid down next to her, and my wife had implanted these little stickies on the ceiling, these glow-in-the-dark stickies. And I remember thinking at the moment that it would be great if we could make tumor cells glow. Because if tumor cells could glow, then we would be able to better find them. When you start out with these somewhat wild ideas, it's very hard to convince the NIH, which is the usual source of funding, to give money. I got a couple early pilot funds from the ACC where they were willing to invest in my idea. Basically, I've spent the last 8 years working on this one idea. The patients come in and we have different dyes. We inject them into the patient. Then when we open up their body cavity and the light hits the tumor will start glowing. And it makes it much easier to operate if you know where the tumor is, where you can find small tumors, you can find tumors that you didn't even know existed, if you can start picking which lymph node you want to take out, and more importantly, which lymph nodes to leave behind. We actually just finished our 200th patient very successfully.
I came to the Abramson Cancer Center because of the Abramson family. They outlined a vision for me to be able to build a program in sarcoma, which is a rare cancer that affects children and adults of all ages in their bones and soft tissues. The fact that Penn is a leader in areas such as immunotherapy and proton radiation allows me to think about a vision of sarcoma that can actually be cured. We have one of the world's largest efforts in proton radiation therapy. This is a unique type of radiation that potentially has less side effects and less long-term effects while still targeting the tumor in an effective manner.
We've created the Center for Personalized Diagnostics. And that center looks at the genetic makeup of your cancer so that we can tailor the drugs to your cancer without undue side effects. In 2011, a group here led by Carl June and his co-workers was able to take your T cells or lymphocytes, these are white cells, re-engineer them and arm them with a protein that hunts down cancers and kill them. Today, we've treated over 180 patients, and even at other centers now that's been able to replicate this. Children who had refractory acute leukemia that has maybe a month or 6 weeks or 2 months to live are now in remission. For me, each cancer patient is a world, and each world has a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, a brother, or sister. So when we can save one patient, we save a world. And I live in that world. I lost a brother to sarcoma about 1.5 years before I came up here. And as a medical oncologist, it's very hard to accept that in this day and age that we still have to confront cancer the way that my brother did. And coming here over the last 4 years and being able to launch new programs and see people so passionate and being able to make big differences to patients all around really has been very heartening to me. We do need the philanthropic support to be able to do this. 1 in every 3 individuals will be affected by some sort of cancer in our lifetime. So the prevalence is very high.
When I first got the diagnosis, I threw my arms around my husband and I said, it's my fault because I never had children and I'm going to lose my hair, which doesn't make sense, but those were the first things that came to my mind. I did some searching on clinical trials, so at my first visit after my surgery with my oncologist, I had intended to ask her about it, but she brought it up, which made me feel good. I had to go through some testing to see if I qualified for the trial, and I did. And I was glad to be able to participate since my cancer was stage 4. My cancer antigen level is in the low to mid-20s. It was 1140 when I was first diagnosed.
I think the other thing that the Cancer Center is doing in an unprecedented way is treating the patient as a whole, not just as a patient with a disease, but as a patient that needs to get on with their lives.
3 weeks before my 29th birthday, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I don't have any children yet, and I think that that's something that when you're young, you don't want to be told you're never going to be able to do that. They considered that, they thought about that. They told me about oncofertility treatments, and they made it possible so that I could freeze my eggs, so that, you know, after you've faced this thing, you've been treated for your cancer, you're okay. Then what? Then there's life.
We have ancillary services that allows for psychological care, Reiki therapy or other types of massage therapy, occupational art therapy. We want you to feel as well as you can in your journey through getting therapy for cancer.
I'll never forget where I was standing when I got the call. It's the call you never want to get. Billy had a very rare kind of cancer, multiple myeloma that affects the blood, and that his hip and his femur needed to be removed immediately, and they immediately admitted him, and the process began. And it was a journey, and when we walked into Ed Statmauer's office at Penn, he looked at us, and it all kind of just melted away, and we knew we were in the best hands in the world. Bill was a fighter. He owned a roofing business. He was a healthy, robust roofer, and he wanted to live. He had a lot to live for. We were married 35 years. 2 wonderful children. He wanted to see them grow old. Every time we walked in and they would tell us another drug didn't work, Ed would also say, but wait, I have another one. 20 clinical trials Bill went through. I think each trial gave him time. Each stem cell gave him another 6 months that he wouldn't have had when we walked in. He passed away 6 months ago. He was diagnosed 5 years in March. Well, you never expect it to be you. We go through life, and your expectation of how this is going to unfold as you grow old together. One of the things I can tell you that when we went home and Bill was in hospice, he looked at me and he said, "You must continue with Abramson Cancer Center. Make me a promise." And to me, that's the biggest tribute I could continue.
We're at an unprecedented phase in cancer research where we have the tools to make discoveries more rapidly and with more impact. The problem at this time now, though, is federal support for this is particularly difficult. Federal grants cannot support what we're trying to do, and this makes fundraising particularly crucial at this time.
I think that some of the greatest cures of lung cancer will come here from the Abramson Cancer Center. In intraoperative imaging, I think we're going to become the forerunners of lung cancer surgery in the world.
I love working at the Abramson Cancer Center. The patients that I see here and the fact that I can offer them treatments that can't be found in other places gives me a great joy.
Richard Fake, who's the honoree, has been a great friend of Penn Medicine and also the Abramson Cancer Center. He's made significant investment in his own philanthropy to the Abramson Cancer Center that support our immunotherapy group, for example, as well as his contributions to many things that we do in the Cancer Center. So it's extremely important to have him as a champion, but also as an example.
Abramson Cancer Center is a jewel in our city. You have to be compelled to get involved with it.
The event tonight is a wonderful event. All the funds are being raised by all of you. It's going to make tremendous future impact to us.
The way that we can work collaboratively is the way that we can really finally crack what's been one of the toughest medical problems we've ever faced as a civilization.